She waited until she had complete control, and that's when she wanted to yank that rug right out from under you.
Since the 90s, there has been a real-life monster lurking in the shadows of the internet. The wealthy, educated, former vice principal and heir to one of Wall Street's most successful lawyers had a dark secret: manipulating semi-professional athletes and tarnishing family names in his wake. On this week's episode of Caught, presented by Catfish, we're going to be taking a look at the real-life tickle monster, David D'Amato. Our story begins in 2006 with Jane O'Brien Media, an expansive worldwide media company with content focused on the unusual professional sports niche of competitive endurance tickling. Targeting amateur athletes, Jane O'Brien had posted a ton of online advertisements claiming that male athletes would receive a free flight to Los Angeles, 4 nights in a 5-star hotel, and a minimum of $1,500 cash if they participated in the tickling challenges. As strange as it was, athletes from all around the world accepted the challenge. Now, you may think that the offer and concept seemed too crazy to be true, but Jane O'Brien Media did in fact commit to everything that they had advertised to their newly acquired athletes. They would continue to recruit hundreds of male athletes monthly to be tickled and conduct the tickling on others. For these amateur athletes, everything would be going perfectly, until it came down to publishing the videos. Due to the strange nature of this sport, many of the athletes would only agree to perform if the videos weren't published publicly online. Though Jane O'Brien Media agreed, they would never commit to the accepted terms. Instead, they would go to post every single video of every athlete that participated. Outraged by the deceit, most of the athletes reached out to Jane O'Brien demanding that the video be removed. They never received a response, so they decided to take matters into their own hands, contacting YouTube and whoever distributed the videos. Almost immediately, they received a message from Debbie Hun, a representative of Jane O'Brien. Debbie told them that they had made a big mistake by taking down the video and that they'd pay for that. The site was a hub to all of their tickling videos along with their personal information such as telephone number, home address, and known relatives. Jane O'Brien Media would go to the extent of contacting the athletes' acquaintances such as their coaches and even family members, claiming that the athletes were not to be trusted due to their tickling fetish. Jane O'Brien would do everything in their power to ruin these athletes' reputation. A former athlete that had experienced Jane O'Brien's backlash said in a statement, "The media firm had a real problem when it comes to power. As soon as they felt as if they were losing power, they would do everything that they could to destroy you." Little did they know, Jane O'Brien's manipulation didn't just start in the early 2000s. The rabbit hole just gets darker from here. The story in fact begins in the 1990s when Terry DeSisto posts on an AOL message board. She would post advertisements for athletes interested in getting paid to be tickled. Terry was posting this everywhere, hoping to get the attention of some young men. In Terry's bio, it said that she was a college girl that loved being tickled and loved tickling others. She was a very attractive girl that caught the attention of a ton of male users. Officially making a name for herself, Tickle Me Terry went on for years and had a stockpile of tickle fetish videos. Terry had even recruited the adult film star caster David Starr to help with finding talent and filming the tickle sessions. Having never met Terry, Starr corresponded via email with Terry, and at one point the email stopped. He then received a letter from Terry claiming that she was in the hospital with mono and can't be on the computer. This went on for about 6 months, with hundreds of letters being sent back and forth. The letters explained what exactly Terry wanted and how Starr can go about it. Though it seemed strange to Starr, he never thought much of it and treated it as any other casting job. One day, Starr eventually decided to quit on the spot, for the reason being Terry started releasing the tickle videos online. Something that Terry explicitly said that she wasn't going to do. This move by Starr was one of his biggest mistakes, besides working for Terry, of course. Starr then started to receive letters, cards, emails of harassment from Terry, and she even sent similar messages to his family. These letters would contain hurtful things such as lewd references to his deceased brother and threats to his life. Due to the strange nature of this sport, many of the athletes would only agree to perform if the videos weren't published publicly online. Even though Jane O'Brien Media agreed, they would never commit to the accepted terms. Instead, they would post every single video of every athlete that participated. Outraged by the deceit, Most of the athletes reached out to Jane O'Brien and demanded that the video be removed. They never received a response, so they decided to take matters into their own hands, contacting YouTube and whoever distributed the videos. Almost immediately, they received a message from Debbie Hunn, a representative of Jane O'Brien. Debbie told them that they have made a big mistake. Fast forward back to the 2000s, reporters began an investigation on Jane O'Brien Media. Originally thinking that it would be a quick and strange story about competitive tickling, they later realized that there was much more going on. When the media firm got word about this investigation, they began their typical online onslaught, sending messages stating that they were going to sue the reporters for everything that they had if they didn't drop their story. Even though they were treading dangerous waters, this only made them more curious. After doing some more digging, they found that the parent company of Jane O'Brien Media owned over 150 other domains. All in reference to tickling, they also found that Jane O'Brien Media had the same erotic and dominant behavior as another tickle company known as Tickle Me Terry, the same company from the late 90s, but was no longer in existence. Still receiving legal threats from Jane O'Brien, the reporters decided to focus their attention on Tickle Me Terry. They soon discovered that the true identity of this online boogeyman belonged to David D'Amato. As a child, D'Amato was different from his classmates. Coming from a very rich family and an overprotective mother, he had a difficult time getting along with people and was often teased. There was even one occasion where his classmates locked him inside of a locker for a lengthy period of time. As an adult, D'Amato worked as a vice principal, and in a 10-year span, he worked for over 8 different schools while simultaneously taking courses in law school. All known relatives and acquaintances of D'Amato brought up his strange behavior and warned the reporters to stay away from him. When reporters realized it was D'Amato behind the Terry account, they turned in their findings to the FBI. In just a few days, David D'Amato was arrested for identity theft of the deceased, computer fraud, and falsifying documents. In danger of facing a very long sentence, D'Amato had one of his father's attorneys represent him. In the end, he pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 6 months in a halfway house and was still allowed to pursue his law degree. After the death of his parents, D'Amato received millions and a monthly check of tens of thousands of dollars. When he received the inheritance, he used the money to create and fund Jane O'Brien Media in an effort to continue his tickle fetish and impose power on those who didn't want to do what he said. Despite being caught, D'Amato went back to doing the same thing he did before in the 90s, filming amateur athletes tickling each other and punishing those who no longer wanted to participate. Many of these athletes had come forward saying that Jane O'Brien's representatives are dehumanizing and intolerable. On June 24, 2016, HBO released a documentary entitled Tickled by a famous New Zealand reporter, David Farrier, with help from Dylan Reeve. They brought more light to the mystery surrounding the companies Tickle Me Terry and Jane O'Brien Media and all of the devious acts they committed. Despite the negative media attention D'Amato received during this time, Jane O'Brien Media was still active, continuing the films of athletes from all around the world tickling each other. In 2017, just a year after the documentary was released, David D'Amato mysteriously passed away at the age of 55, but some still wonder if the infamous tickle monster is still lurking in the internet's shadows. And so concludes the story of David D'Amato, the Tickle Monster. Shoot us a like if you enjoyed this video and let us know in the comments what you think about competitive tickling. For more in-depth details on this case, please feel free to check us out on our blog linked in the description. For teasers on new episodes, be sure to follow us on our social media pages, hit that notification bell and subscribe button to be notified when the next episode of Caught presented by Catfished goes live.